All our top stories, including the PDP caucus meeting, can be found on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. To get us on the move, visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. We'll take it a step further and interact with the Channels Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. So if you have pictures or videos to share with us, tap on the application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow the instructions to share your reports, pictures and videos. Well, at least 20 people have been killed in a suicide bomb attack near a market in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. Confirming the incident to Channels Television, the military spokesman of the 7th Division Operation in Maiduguri, Colonel Mohammed Dole, said security forces are still making efforts to get details of the explosion, which occurred around 1:30 p.m. He also said that a suspect has been arrested in connection with the explosion. Eyewitnesses said the explosion rocked the popular central roundabout in the metropolis. People were seen fleeing in different directions and vehicles crashing into each other as gunshots rent the air. No group have claimed responsibility for the attack, but the militant group Boko Haram is known to have carried out similar attacks in the region, especially targeting military facilities. In the meantime, the Borno State Governor Kashim Shettima has described the bombing that claimed lives and property today in Maiduguri as cruel, evil and inhumane. The governor, who spoke through his advisor on communication, Issa Gusau, said the incident came at a time that the state was rejoicing over the return of peace. The governor prayed for the souls of those killed to rest in peace and for those injured to recover speedily. The statement also directed security agents to carry out a full-scale investigation into the explosion, while the State Ministry of Health is to ensure that all victims of the bombing receive adequate medical attention. Now, a U.S. Federal Appeals Court has upheld the life sentence on Farouk Abdul Muttalab. That's the Nigerian man who tried to set off an explosion hidden in his underwear while aboard a U.S. airliner on Christmas Day in 2009. The 6th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals rejected all of the 27-year-old's challenges to the sentence, concluding that none of the claims have merit. The court said Farouk had been represented by a public defender, but then in a pre-trial hearing insisted he wanted to represent himself. A judge warned him of the consequences and even appointed a standby attorney who consulted with the defendant. Circuit Judge David McKeague, who wrote the opinion for the panel, called Farouk an educated and adept individual who made numerous calculated decisions in the name of martyrdom. He said a life sentence was appropriate and that the defendants, having committed an act of terrorism, communicated a desire to undertake more. Farouk's bomb sparked a fireball but did not explode on Northwest Airlines Flight 253 with 289 people on board. Staying with security now, the rising spate of crises across the West African sub-region can best be controlled through the entrenchment of democracy and good governance. Well, this is the collective position of some security experts at a meeting with civil society groups in Abuja. They also suggested measures to guide security responses to conflict situations in the region. According to them, the security agencies have often been responsible for aggravating crisis situation by employing tactics that are not in line with democratic governance and justice. According to documented reports, Nigeria has been experiencing a rising spate of violence since its transition to civil rule and even beyond. And more than a decade of numerous crises has had its toll on governance and security in the country. This state of affairs are the same in many African countries, especially in the West African region, a situation that has necessitated the convening of this forum in Abuja. The gathering is to share experiences, discuss strategies, and agree on measures to guide security response to conflict situations in the region.
The activities of the private military companies, PMCs, are growing in West African countries. The activities, if not carefully managed, could undermine or exacerbate peace and security in an already fragile region.
Rather than seeing the local communities as part of all of them as perpetrators, but identifying a group of credible people on ground that they can work with, it helps reduce tension. You also understand cultural context in which certain activities are being carried out. They provide that background information which assists the security operatives to do a better job.
One solution which these experts agree upon, however, is that democratic guidelines ought to govern the use of security operatives in crisis situations in a democracy to cut out impunity and provocation of further violence.
Security governance is not about one single institution having the total control or power over security forces. Security governance is about a creative process of ensuring people's engagement and participation in the management and control of security agencies, or subjecting security agencies to democratic control.
There has to be an approach that you, where necessary, use force as a way to clamp down on some of these issues, but force does not always have to be the first option.
No doubt, the crisis situation that has become Africa is much cause for worry, and these experts say now rather than later is time to find solutions that will gradually check the situation by using effective means to resolve differences, check outbreaks of violent conflicts, and restore peace and sanity in the region. Omologo Nadi, Channels Television News.
Over now to Abuja, here's Linda Akigbe. Hi, Linda. Hello, Joman. Welcome to Abuja. More reactions have continued to trail last Saturday's local government election in Anambra State, with the leadership of the People's Progressive Alliance, PPA, in the state describing the exercise as a complete sham. But the Conference of Nigerian Political Parties, CNPP, Anambra State Chapter, endorsed the poll, saying it met the minimum standards for such an exercise.
For 16 years, the people of Anambra State waited to elect their representatives at the third tier of government. And after several postponements, that dream finally materialized with the election on January the 11th. However, the local government election has come under severe criticism, with the leadership of the People's Progressive Alliance at the forefront. Governorship candidate of the party in Anambra State cites the alleged inability of ANSIEC to conduct elections in Aguata local government area as a dark spot for the commission. But the national chairman of the All Progressives Grand Alliance will not have any of that.
I am worried that people have been fooled for many years. APGA has been ruling for the past 8 years. They can still keep the leadership, they can still keep the local government for themselves. But they shouldn't come and deceive people and tell them that they are doing an election.
Those who are complaining did no mobilization. Those of you who in Anambra State who agree with me, it was only APGA that campaigned ahead of this local government election. We campaigned across the 21 local government areas. No other political party was seen in any rally mobilizing the electorate.
Despite the criticism by the PPA, the Conference of Nigerian Political Parties and some civil society groups made their own submissions on the January 11th poll.
We hereby state unequivocally that the local government elections of 11 January 2014 held in Anambra State complied with international best practices. Thus, we adjudge that the elections was free, fair, and credible. CNPP is particularly pleased that the symptoms of the so-called landslide victories as obtained in other states' council polls is manifestly different with the ANSEC election of 11 January 2014, in which some other political parties in the council race secured victories in some council seats.
For now, it appears there's no going back, as the elected chairman and councillors have been sworn in. All that is left is for those not satisfied with the exercise to explore the legal option.
Ahead of the 2015 general elections, The Interim National Executive Committee of the Democratic People's Congress is urging the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) not to leave every arrangement till the last minute. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the Interim National Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Chinedu Onyema, notes that the early release of an authentic voters register will reduce electoral practices to the barest minimum. Mr. Onyema, who read the communique issued by the party, also asked INEC to, as a matter of urgency, release the party's certificate of registration having fulfilled all constitutional and statutory conditions for registration as a political party.
An open, free, honest electoral system is fundamental to the attainment and democratic society. An effective government requires a strong, responsible, and competitive political party system. As a corollary, National Executive Council is optimistic that the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Attahiru Jega, will toe the path of the honor and release the certificate of the registration of the Democratic People's Congress in the interest of justice and competitive democracy and good conscience. 4. National Executive Council calls on INEC to shun the fire brigade approach, which has bedevilled previous elections, and urge INEC to be proactive and release the authentic voters register and permanent voters card early enough ahead of the build-up for the 2015 general election. This will no doubt eliminate monumental fraud, rigging, and electoral malpractices that marred elections in recent times.